Welcome to Weld.com. I'm Bob Moffett, RamNation58 on Instagram and other platforms. I'm sitting on an Everlast. I don't know which one, but I'm going to unbox this rascal. Like now. That is a close range blade. Here we go. Hey. Oh, cut my finger. No, I didn't. I'm guessing 262, the essence of 262 here, but I'm not real sure. It's been a while since I've been around one. Oh, we got a robust gun. That means it's got a stout machine. Yeah. What do we have? Cyclone 262. We're going to have a little fun today. I went ahead and put this on a piece of wood just so I can slide it around this table here, so no alarm. Got to be a flow meter regulator type unit here. Yes, it is. Gas hose. A robust MIG gun. It looks like it has some nice ergonomics with it. Got that ball movement in here. Oh, I like the feel of that. That's a nice gun right there, I can tell. Might have to get some edge Pyrex front ends for that. Work cable. Do we ever need those? I've been trying to weld without them forever. Yeah, buddy. This is initial machine setup, but I do want to give it a little bit of a test ride while I'm here. Always like flying through the menus and flying through some settings, setting the machine up. All right, folks, here we go. I have the ground clamper work lead hooked up to negative. I've got electrode holder on positives. That'd be DC, EP, or reverse polarity. I'm not going to go on the power set, but I will explain it to you a little bit, and I'll show you why I don't want the power set on this particular weld. If I go power set, I selected a cellulose rod. I intend on running E6010. That would be high cellulose sodium, and it's designed to run on DCEP. So if I select something in here, it's for the electrodes. If I hit the down arrow, it's for material thickness. This is on power set. So if I scroll through this a little bit, I have 3/8 plate, but it's beveled. And I have a slight root face on there of about 3/30. That's 3/32 root face right there. Is that what I want for the power set? Because it gives me 90 amps. Well, 90 amps might be a little bit harsh unless I reduce the root opening. See what I'm saying? That's the reason I like power set, but not for this particular type of weld. I'm trying to run a test through here on cellulose rods and a root pass here on 3/8 bevel plate. Simulating the same thing like we do for pipe. Now, in that 90 amps, I can turn it down. It turns red at 83 to 85, I could probably run. Again, got to get on this machine and find out. I'll tack it up this way. I'll do cellulose, but I'm only doing a 3/16 thickness. Again, I'm doing the root pass, so I'm way down inside here, and that's probably about right, depending on the gap. So I'll let it go at 85 amps. I'm not going to run anything in the arc force, the time for the hot start, or the hot start amps, and BRD I have off as well. I'm just going to tack up and see what happens. That acted questionable. Plate stand, we're at or near 90 degrees. That doesn't matter. Just want to see if the rod's going to run. Push it in there a little bit. See if it's going to snub out. We're at 85 amps and we're on power set. I've never done this before. Oh, baby. Yeah, buddy. Wow, we run a downhill route in there with the 6010 1/8 inch. Let's see if we can go the rest of the way. Fuse into that keyhole. I don't think this machine and I are quite tuned in together, but downhill route was okay. I was going to do uphills and horizontals. I don't have time, but I will save that in there. That's an 1/8 inch 6010. It ran in there pretty nice. Got a restart right there. Broke the edges down. Got a little reinforcement. I'm going to clean this, and I'm going to go back over here and run a 5/32 big boy for the hot pass and see what happens. A little bit of a rough starter. By the way, folks, I do have everything turned off. No hot start is on, no arc force is on. There we go. Need to make a smaller stitch. I'm going to clean this, wire brush it, buff it. I'll put a fill pass in with 3/32 7018. I'll turn the amperage back down to 80-85. Let me go wire brush this out. Again, I don't have anything turned on over here for hot start or dig or anything else. I've left it off. I guess I'm going to run a fill pass with 3/32 7018. I don't even know what brand that is. I just grabbed one. I'm going to turn this off, go to standard. So I took it off of Salo, so I went to standard. Let's see what happens over here. Lovely art. I don't know what you're getting for a perspective here, but it kind of looks like this rod might be pointing downhill. That's because it is. I do that on purpose. This is extreme. I got myself in a bad spot here, but it's right at the tail of the... I'm going to run a different brand of 7018. This is a Fox Evo 50. Here, flip out over this. I'm not going to clean my slag. My fill passes I try to run to within about 3/32 full. 3/32, 1/16 full of the groove. I try to keep, I pause on the sides, I push into the bevel face to try to make them lay in there flat. Profile at the end of the weld, I'd like to see flat. Dang, what do you think, camera guy? Should have been a welder, huh? I'm not going to get crazy and clean everything. I've got some slag left in there right on the toe. My beveled edges are showing, and that's what I want. I'll run 1/8 inch here in a minute, but I'm going to run a little bit of 332. I'm going to run a little bit of that, and then that's kind of a smooth arc. How about we do this? I'll leave that set on standard. We'll grab some other rods here and run some of them in there horizontal so we can run big stuff like 5/32 7018. What's that run? DCEP, and let's go 5. Let's go 135 for now. H4R. What does that mean? 7018-H4R. Anybody in the viewership want to comment back on that? What's that mean? I got to do a little bit of fill here. Nah, I'll just start over here. All right, here we go. This ought to be like a 2-bead cap. Of course, I'm shaking like a chihuahua pooping peach seeds there, you know. Boy, that's fluid. Didn't leave myself enough room. Well, it'll run the 532 all right. You know, just out of experiment here. Let's do something here. Let's go 3/16. God, that's a hog rod right there. Let's go 3/16. We'll jack this thing up here to 200 amps. I don't think I've got a good ground on this table here. This is a piece that I've been carbon arc gouging on. It's just a test piece for running the rod. 309L. Everlast 262 Cyclone stick welder. 6010, 7018, 7014, 6013, stainless, it don't matter. It'll run it. Hope the camera guy can hear all of this because it's important. This is your wire drive assembly, okay? You need to be careful in that you don't lose a key out of anything. Most generally, when you take the drive roll off, the portion that you need to change, the geared portion will stay. If it comes off, that's fine, but be mindful that you don't drop it. One of them is keyed. And I say keyed, the drive roll is keyed into the gear part of it. It's keyed again out here for the wire V-groove. Come on, go together. There we go. Okay, this says 0.6 on the outside. 0.6 divided by 25.4 will get you the wire size in decimal of an inch. On the inside, it says 0.8. If you take 0.8 divided by 25.4, it is 0.031 something. Anyway, it's 030 wire, which is what I'm going to put on here. 030 L56. So I'm going to put this one that's keyed back on the left side in the key. Got that one on there that's keyed. This one is not keyed, but it will, the gear teeth are going to match up over here. Again, we're changing the sleeve here that drives the wire. I want 030, the 030s to the inside. On some machines, they'll have 035, 045 or something, and the 035 is stamped out here, but it corresponds with the inside groove. But these aren't that way. No big deal. Just be mindful when you take these apart. Don't need to use extreme pressures on anything. Also, make sure that your wire guides in between the two sets of drive rolls haven't moved. They need to be off away from the drive roll itself, not rubbing on it. I'll run these in here hand tight, and that's basically plenty good. Give that a little bit of a turn, and I don't want to leave this one out down here. A little bit of a turn. There we go. So I have an 8-inch or 11-pound spool. We'll call these banjo spools. 11-pound spool of wire. This sleeve, this mechanism has a spring, some washers in here. This is your wire drive tension right here. If this is backed off and real loose, your wire can unspool on you, and you don't want that. There's a bad condition right there. If you have this too tight, then your drive roll assembly is not going to grab your wire sufficiently and have it run smooth. Nothing needs to be over tightened. I'm going to run this wire into this through the first drive roll assembly and through the second one. And I'm going to let it run out the front of the machine I'm just going to stay right there. And then I'll put this down and hold that, and I'll lock this in place. Here's what I see as a key thing. Try to dampen any O-rings before you go slamming them up into their mating parts. I've seen these cut, and it's not good when you like a lot of guns will have 2 O-rings, and they coincide with where the gas hose comes into the wire drive assembly. Keeps your gas from going out into the machine, keeps your gas, forces it up into the gun. However, you can have a real expensive machine and a 10-cent O-ring will shut you down. You're not welding without an O-ring. So just dampen these a little bit if you can. And when you slide them in, make sure your pins are correct. I like to wiggle those a little bit and put them up in there so that we know that everything is good and snug. Not over tightened, just run it up in there. I've laid this out on the floor. I always like my gun to be relaxed. The liner's not in a bind. It helps when feeding wire. I take the contact tip out most of the time when I'm feeding wire up into this, for the simple fact that I don't want the wire to be running up through there and then run into a contact tip and create a backlash back into the drive assembly. Now, here's where I need to go change the program over to a C25. I've got 675 inches and 681 inches a minute. Voltage doesn't matter. We've got a jog wire and we've got a gas purge feature on the front of this machine. I'm gonna go ahead and push the wire jog. Now I have wire coming out of here. Okay, I have taken this off because I needed to take it over and take the contact tip out of it. I needed to change it down to 030. So I'm going to reassemble this. Drive rolls, contact tip, all need to be sized to your wire. And I want to go 17.8 in the volts. I want to go 185 in the wire feed speed. I want to set no pre-flow, no post-flow, but I do want inductance. And in the inductance, I want about 40%. Might make some other adjustments here. First part of it is we'll go downhill. We might run some horizontal route too. Let's do downhill first. No, my bad. Got a little frisky there and was working that in and jumped through the dead airspace. So opened the gap and I had to jump back into it. That's just kind of an incorrect way to go about it. If I was making a code weld, I would have stopped, ground and feathered that out and started above on my root pass material and then came back into that keyhole or that spot, that void. I'm not going to grind this out, but I'm going to run a little bit of horizontal here. Wow, that kind of reminded me of the time I did the horizontal root passing on the Cyclone 200, and I called out old Brian Lagalio. This didn't have enough gap in it, but it certainly ran in there nicely. And that's what I was looking for, is more of the arc features than anything else. They didn't have enough gap, but now we turn it up a little bit. We'll run some passes in here in the horizontal. Since we have our settings right here in the cooler short arc settings for the root, 18.5, 185, we'll do a little fill pass here. Favorable root fill there, a little fill pass. a little full for my blood, but we'll put a cap on it. Wow, this is one of those machines that talks to you. If you were paying attention, I could give you one of my all-time secrets that a lot of people don't know on how to make vertical welds. When do you move? When do you oscillate back and forth? The machine just told me when to move. If you heard that tone quality change in there, we'll get to that on another video, but that right there, this has got a really tight arc. It's got a really super sweet tight arc. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it up, get some values going here. What do you want to put with it? 185, let's go 240. Nah, let's go 260. We'll try 260. 20.5 volts, 260 inches a minute, C25, 40% inductance. And I'm gonna do 2 fill passes that stack on top of each other in this groove. We run these hotter than we do root passes or fill passes in the vertical position. You ready there, old camera buddy? A great machine, got smooth arc, good response to settings. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. Let's just go with these numbers here. On the wire feed speed, it was 27.8 volts, 275 amps, it's 35% duty cycle. Well, don't be alarmed. That's saying that I could weld 3.5 minutes at 275 amps and 27.8 volts in a 10-minute period, okay? I've heard a lot of people gripe about, oh, it's only a 35% machine. You won't get there. I mean, I see the people that are griping never get there. They don't work that hard themselves. You got to work a machine pretty hard to get it to that point. Where I was welding at 27.5, but the next rating down is 60% duty cycle at 200 amps. Now, while I was welding, it was probably reading out the amps, but I couldn't see it. Inches per minute is not amperage. So while I was welding, if it was welding at 200 amps and I was down around 24 volts, that's 60% duty cycle. I could weld 6 minutes continuously in a 10-minute period at 200 amps. We started out, we ran stick, we ran cellulose electrodes, 7018, ran a little stainless, ran fat bore 532, 6010. It'll run some bigger rods than that. Duty cycle, I understand, on the stick electrode is 50% at 200 amps. Okay, 50% at 200 amps. I think that's a cool deal right there. It's a pretty stout machine. 250 amp machine, 275 amp machine. Carrying that around, you look around, everything else is on wheels. So you can pick this thing up and carry it. It's a portable machine. That's a big thing right there. Inverter based. It comes with the regulator, your stick electrodes, your ground clamp, work lead, I should say. A pretty nice torch here that's Benzel front ends, ergonomics. It's heavy duty. You can spray with it. You can short arc with it. It's comfortable. It's compatible with a spool gun. And also, I think you can change this liner out to a Teflon liner if you need to do some aluminum. We've got some folks on our team that's done that in the past, and they said they weld really, really well. I myself got to witness the Parker spool gun up at Mr. McCullum's place in Kansas City recently. I'll say recently, this year, that's close enough. What a really nice spool gun that thing was. I want to do some aluminum work off this one, and several other machines have that capability. Plug it in right here in the front of the machine. So if you have questions, please contact us. Don't be confused by duty cycle, and don't be scared of the numbers. Go in and read the technical specs on what these machines will do. But this one's pretty stout, I can assure you. It's a workhorse. So let us know your comments, concerns. You might comment on some on content that you'd want to see on other machines or other unboxings. Please make sure you check out the Weld.com app. Download the app. On behalf of Weld.com, I'm Bob Moffett, Ram Nation 58. Thank you very much for watching.